I'm Karanja, a member of Alibird's Toastmasters. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 practical steps that you can use to become an effective evaluator and craft a super effective evaluator speech. Now, has anyone ever asked you what makes Toastmasters different from any other public speaking course? The answer is evaluations. Evaluations are at the heart of the Toastmasters program. And Toastmasters works best not only when you receive a good evaluation, but also when you give it. Unfortunately, the Competent Communicator Manual does not have sufficient information on how to give an effective evaluation, which is why this video intends to give you these 4 easy steps on how you can craft an effective evaluator speech. Now, before I get into the steps, I want you to remember 2 things. 1, you need to make sure that you have listened to your speaker when they're giving their presentation. And secondly, you need to make sure that you've understood the objectives of the speaker. Alright, let's get into the 4 practical steps. Step 1 is to give an overall assessment of the impact the speech had on you. Step 2 is to list the positive aspects of the speech. Step 3 is to give suggestions for improvement. And step 4 is to make a recommendation. Let's observe each of these steps in further detail. Remember, you only have about 3 minutes to give your evaluator speech, so you must be very specific and accurate in order to be effective. Step 1. Give an overall assessment of how you found the speech. Did the speech inspire you or persuade you? Was it informative or entertaining? This is the very first thing that you state in your speech. And you could say something like, Harry, I found that I learned a lot from that speech. If you thought the speech was very informative. Or, I found myself in stitches after listening to you. If you thought the speech was entertaining in a humorous way. So remember, start by giving an overall assessment of the impact the speech had on you. Step 2, list the positive aspects of the speech. This is your chance to tell the speaker what you found good about the speech. And in this case, you're going to bridge the statement on impact with the positive aspects with something like, I found that you used these skills particularly well to make your speech so informative. Or, here are some of the things that you demonstrated that make you such a funny speaker. And then go on to list 2 or 3 positive aspects. Now, you're not constrained to speak only about positive aspects with regard to the objectives. You could talk about the content, the delivery method, or even the language used in that speech. So remember, list the positive aspects of the speech. Step 3, give suggestions for improvement. Now, when you're giving suggestions for improvement, you need to keep a couple of things in mind. The first is that restrict yourself to the objectives of that particular project, since you're trying to help that person on that particular project. And the other thing is to use positive language. Now, positive language means that you offer helpful suggestions, that you use constructive language, that you stress the positive actions and the positive consequences that are anticipated when these actions are taken. For example, if you're evaluating a project 6, the Competent Communicator Manual, and the person is supposed to use vocal projection, yet they were not very audible, you could say something like this. I thought your speech was very interesting. In future, I would encourage you to raise your volume so that even those at the very back of the room can hear and enjoy your speech the way I did. So remember, use positive language and talk about what suggestions for improvement you think that person could make in the third step. And lastly, step 4, make a recommendation. When you're making a recommendation, I would encourage you to be sure that it is clear and unambiguous. Toastmasters does not require that you meet any objective for you to get credit in a project. But if you are to appear sincere as an evaluator, you must give a very clear recommendation on whether the person should proceed or repeat their speech. Before telling them to proceed or repeat, I would suggest that you first explain whether you think they met the objectives of that particular project. Let's take project 5, your body speaks. You could say something like, I thought you used facial expressions and your body gestures particularly well. With regard to your stance and movement, I feel there is still room for you to improve. After you've told them whether you think they met the objectives, the next thing is to give a positive and uplifting statement to round off your evaluation, especially if you're going to ask the person to repeat. You could say something like, I like where you're going in your Toastmasters journey, and I would like that you repeat this particular speech, keeping in mind the recommendations, the suggestions I've given for improvement, in order that you progress very well in your journey to reach your final destination as a competent communicator. So step 4, remember, is to give your recommendation that is clear and unambiguous. So there you have it, 4 practical steps on how you can craft an effective evaluator speech. Step 1, make an overall assessment of the impact the speech had on you. Step 2, list the positive aspects of the speech. Step 3, give suggestions for improvement. And step 4, make a recommendation. I hope this video has helped give you the skills you need to become a very good evaluator who gives excellent evaluator speeches.